When we think about coping mechanisms, we usually think about activities that are labeled as bad, sad, or harmful and just generally not good. But what if I told you that most female entrepreneurs actually fill their days with coping mechanisms and they aren't even noticing it? Because a lot of coping mechanisms are not the kind that are labeled as bad, but those are actually socially very acceptable and maybe even things that are expected from us. It's just that when we take them to the extremes, that we can label them as coping mechanisms and they counter our productivity and ability to grow a business and run a family at the same time very, very much. So what happens when you're acting out with a coping mechanism is you're in your head. Your head is running 1,000 miles an hour, and you're just stuck up there. And your body sees this as a threat and it wants you to feel safe. So a coping mechanism is something that makes you feel safe. And it's nice of your body that it makes you want to feel safe, but you can figure out better ways to make you feel that safe feeling. Those are not your coping mechanisms that are going to take up a lot of your time. What I very often see happen, sorry for not looking at you, but my driveway is really bad and I might break my ankles. What I really often see happen is that women come to me because they need coaching with either growing their business or maintaining their business, but getting a better balance between their business and their families. That's where they get stuck. And then when we look at what they do in a day, we find out that actually, morning till night, they are using one coping mechanism after the other. So, a coping mechanism is something that we do so we don't have to deal with something else. This is what it boils down to, right? So, usually when we think about coping mechanisms, we think about people who have suffered a big T trauma and are coping with that in a not healthy kind of way. And what happens for female entrepreneurs is we also deal with stuff. It's just not big T trauma, but it's stuff that puts our nervous system on edge and therefore makes us want to deal with it in a not healthy way. Coping mechanisms that are socially acceptable: scrolling on your phone, cooking, cleaning, taking care of others. That's a big one, taking care of others, because as mothers and as business owners, we already are supposed to take care of others. So I'll get back to that in a second, explain to you why it's also a coping mechanism. Eating. Eating is a big one as well. So these are a few things that are, when you look at them externally, they seem fine. They seem pretty normal things to do. But when you're using them in an unhealthy way, they can be considered as coping mechanisms. My personal favorite, cooking. I cook when I'm stressed. And I recently found this out because I actually literally said to a friend, cooking is my coping mechanism because I was home alone for nearly 2 weeks. My husband was abroad for work. We live in France, but he works in Holland. And so he was there for nearly 2 weeks. One of my kids got really sick, like just a flu, but really sick nonetheless. And it was just plain old chaos everywhere. I got nothing done. And oh, then on top of it all, we went to see friends, like on the last day before my husband came back. My kid was not sick anymore. And I presented her with an apple pie, homemade, of course. And she said, "Oh, you're nuts. Like you've been so busy lately. And so everything's been so stressful. And here you are baking a cake." And I just breezed it off and I just said, "Yeah, don't worry about it. Cooking is my coping mechanism." And then I realized, oh shit, cooking is my coping mechanism. When I get stressed, when I don't want to deal with anything, I cook. It's a super cool coping mechanism because it's very socially acceptable. When people come by, it's super hospitable to cook them a homemade meal. Like, that's so nice of you to do. Yes, I do it because I don't want to deal with your coming. And this goes on forever. We have a lot of friends and family who come to France, who come with us to stay here in the castle in the summer. And I get stressed when people come here because you have to prepare their rooms, you have to make sure that everything's clean and nice and stuff like that. And so I make them their favorite meals when they arrive. And When I make a soup and I put croutons in it, I will make the croutons out of my homemade sourdough bread because, why buy croutons when you can make them yourself? And it's so nice to do. And it's such a big coping mechanism. And this is a very good example of what coping mechanisms can look like because they look like acts of kindness. They look like acts that are super productive and everyone benefits, you think. The only one who's not benefiting is actually a you. Because while you're in your coping mechanism, you're actually not dealing with the stress that you felt in the first place that made you do it. So I know a lot of women who do this with cleaning, for example. They just start cleaning like a maniac whenever something is up. And instead of sitting down with a feeling, sitting down with a situation and saying, oh shit, I'm super stressed right now, they grab their cleaning tools and they, attack a bathroom or something. Super useful, but you are still keeping yourself in a stressed state instead of working through whatever made you stressful in the first place. And when we start to think about how to deal with coping mechanisms, or actually just how to deal with stress, very often we tend to think big. So we tend to say, let's just plan more white space in our calendars. Let's make sure that we have a better balance between our business and our family. And those are obviously great things to do. It's just that in the moment when you are dealing with stress and you are acting out with a coping mechanism, it's not going to help you. Because when you're super stressed because something in your business is going wrong and you just want to sit and eat, stuff your face with chips or something, you can sit there and go, I should really plan more white space, but that's not going to help you in that moment. So, what I would like you to do when you have a situation and you notice you're doing something that's super socially acceptable, but not at all helping, is to try to land in your body. And for different coping mechanisms, there are different ways to do it. Because here's the thing, you can say, why is it bad? Why is it bad that I'm cleaning? Why is it bad that I'm cooking a homemade meal? Why is it bad that I am planning, like overly planning stuff out and organizing is a very known one as well. And those are not necessarily bad things to do. It's just that when you use them in a wrong way, they take up a lot of your time. And that's where it goes wrong because 9 out of 10 times what I see is that the stressor in the first place was not having enough time. And then you're going to spend that time doing something that's costing you even more time, which in the end is going to, add more pressure to the whole situation. So you want to make sure that you're dialing down on how much time it's costing you to cope with stuff. So as we've established that you want to spend less time coping in the moment itself, try to fall back into your body and tell yourself that it's safe. But just by noticing your body, that's very often the only thing that you have to do. So, for different coping mechanisms, if you are a stress eater and you are in the kitchen and you're like, oh my God, I'm so stressed, munch, munch, munch. Fine. Grab a piece of apple, sit down, and consciously eat a piece of apple. And I'm naming apple specifically because it's crunchy, it's juicy, it's sweet and soury at the same time. Like there's a lot of sensations going on when you eat an apple. Focus on that and just on that. And when you're like, okay, body. Oh, right, I have a body. I'm not just consisting of mind. Then you can breathe and think, okay, what is even going on that I'm stress eating right now? And by that, poof, pattern interrupt, and you can step out of it. If you're a cooker like I am, just stop the cooking for a second. And this is the thing with all the coping mechanisms, because you're not likely gonna stop cleaning your bathroom midway through because you're like, oh, this is a coping mechanism. Just like you won't not finish the meal that you're making because you're already making it. So you're probably gonna finish it. But just be aware of it and land in your body. So when you're a cooker, just drop the utensils, step in front of a window, and just be bored. Look outside, watch the leaves rustle in the wind, just uh, do nothing for a second. Or go the sensory route and feel stuff, like stick your fingers in a bucket full of rice or something, that helps super well as well. Watching outside is something I do when I tend to start scrolling. I don't want to doom scroll. So when my body is like, oh my God, I need a distraction, I'll actually walk to a window and just stare at it for a minute. Works wonders. For the cleaning, you are already doing something. Like you're busy, you're moving your body. It's just that you're not very conscious of it because you're stuck in your head. So take off your shoes for a sec and just, ideally, of course, go outside and feel your feet in the grass, roll around. That, yes, but we want to pattern interrupt. We won't don't want to make you do another activity completely. So just take off your shoes, stand still, wiggle your toes, and feel the bathroom floor. And then just do it long enough that you can actually feel your head drop into your feet, if that makes any sense. But just you drop back into your body because you're like, oh, I have feet. My feet can feel stuff. This is amazing. Oh, right. And then you poof, poof, you stopped the pattern. And now you can put more healthy thoughts into your brain. And then, of course, when you're in a more relaxed state of mind, so not in that moment, not in the 5 seconds after it, but in another moment where you're like, I can think again, that's when you're actually going to think of a strategy that helps you prevent getting into the state that makes you need the coping mechanisms in the first place. And that's something we're going to do in another video, not today, because today I just wanted to make you aware of the coping mechanisms that we have that are socially acceptable, that are very likely showing up in your life as well, and why they show up and how to deal with them. So I hope that this was helpful for you. And maybe you're like me now because for the last few weeks, ever since I started really consciously thinking about these, like every other minute, I just go, oh, I didn't actually need to clean that. I didn't actually need to scroll on my phone. I didn't actually need to eat. I didn't actually need to cook. Fun times. So, yeah, I'll be here to help you with that. But for now, this is enough. See you in the next video. Bye.